Hi guys, wanted to make a quick video addressing this 737NG 737-800 that went down in the southern district of China. Absolutely terrible news. Just the other day I was thinking to myself, it's been a while since we've had a major aviation, commercial aviation accident. Of course, the one that comes to mind is the 2018 couple crashes for the 737 MAX. Obviously, we know at this point that this was not a 737 MAX, it was a 737-800NG. Absolutely terrible. One thing I wanted to kind of mention in terms of my own opinions and thoughts on this, and obviously this is pure speculation, so take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, I'm not a real pilot. I'll say that right off the bat, but I am a pretty avid aviation enthusiast who spends pretty much day and night absorbing aviation content, including real-world aviation and as well as simulation, as you see on my channel. So what I want to say is, you don't usually see airplanes take nosedives like that. They're definitely, for the layperson, they're definitely designed to glide in case of, engine failure, or even if this was a flight control failure, it is very difficult to imagine under what scenario, if there was a hydraulic failure that didn't allow control of the, ailerons, rudder, elevators. I just don't see how it would enter such a neat, straight nosedive down. Even if this horizontal stabilizer, the two kind of horizontal tail sections at the back, if there's issues with that, that would explain it. But in order for it to make sense, I would expect to see some sort of a chaotic movement as it's diving down, like a spin or some sort of a movement about more than one axis. Right now we just saw it, we only saw it nosedive down very neatly, and no, it didn't experience any sort of roll. It didn't experience any sort of yaw that could have caused the spin, if there was an issue with the rudder. Even if the rudder, which is the end section of the vertical tail at the back of the airplane, it's the trailing edge of the vertical tail that moves, that allows the airplane to have directional control left and right. Even if that was damaged, I would still expect some sort of a spin, not a neat dive like that, completely vertically down. It took a minute or so for it to crash, a little over a minute. 30,000 feet dive into the mountains, absolutely insane. I mean, it's not unprecedented. I mean, like I said, if for the layperson, I know I'm kind of all over the place here, but the two horizontal tails you see at the back of the airplane, the horizontal stabilizer, they're basically their job. And this is, again, as a non-aerodynamic, engineer, or as a non-pilot, simply as a aviation enthusiast, the two horizontal tails are responsible for providing a downforce, because the design of aircrafts is such that the center of gravity, or the center of where the weight is acting, the force of weight is acting on the plane, is usually, ahead of the center of lift, where it's getting its counteracting force to the weight. So because the center of gravity is in front of the center of lift, and those 2 points are not on a horizontal axis, those 2 points are not exactly at the same place, the plane aerodynamically naturally has a tendency to nosedive, because it's heavier in the front, like a seesaw. So that's the purpose for the horizontal stabilizer at the back, to provide as much downforce as necessary to stabilize, to counteract that center of gravity, and keep it straight and level. And of course, according to where the center of gravity lies and all that stuff, there's a whole bunch of factors that get into it. That tail can be adjusted in its angle to provide more or less downforce as needed. So for it to nosedive like that, again, I just don't see how a catastrophic hydraulic failure would contribute to such a clean nosedive. I did see some smoke. I thought I saw some smoke. Again, let me know in the comments if you agree or not, but I thought I saw a little bit of trailing smoke as it was in that footage that, you know, is circulating online of it nosediving. And one thing I was thinking, could it be attributed to not necessarily a smoke from a mechanical failure, but could it just be as a result of its high speed, you know, high diving speed, causing friction against the surface of the aircraft and almost burning it up that way? I have no clue if that's possible. Again, if you're an aerodynamic expert, let me know in the comments. And one last thing I wanted to kind of leave you guys with that I haven't really seen many people mention is, and I'm just speculating. I hate to speculate, but it's just out of the curiosity for me to see if anybody comments on this. And I was wondering if this was intentional. I mean, if this was a nosedive, you know, I mean, the world's in a pretty tough situation right now. I'm sure there's a lot of people suffering mental health issues. Who knows? I mean, it just takes one wrong moment in your head, a short circuit, you know, to do something that you might end up regretting if you live to tell about it. But if this were to be intentional, I know the 737 is sort of, in general, like people in the aviation industry kind of mention how the 737 and Boeings in general are more controllable, they're designed with more of a pilot-centric kind of focus, whereas the Airbuses, they're more designed with computers running the show. And, you know, they have something called alternate law, where in Airbuses, if you get catastrophic electronic failure and whatnot, the plane enters in something called alternate law, where it's not necessarily the computer doing all the work anymore, and that has caused a lot of complications and crashes with Airbuses in the past. But my question is, if this were to be intentional, would it have been possible for the same thing to happen in an Airbus? Let me know in the comments if you're a pilot or aviation expert. I'm really curious to know if, you know, under normal circumstances, you know, I know the Airbus offers stall protection, and there's only so much you can, for example, pitch it up until the, you know, the ELAC and the FAC and all those computers interfere and hold you back from making inputs that might put this aircraft in a stall situation. I was wondering if this would still be possible with an Airbus, if it wasn't a Boeing. Would the Airbus have would the computers have stepped in any way to prevent this? Let me know in the comments. And again, it's such a terrible tragedy, and I just can't wait to hear what happened, and deepest condolences to the families involved. And it's very terrible. See you guys.